Sure. My name is Quinn, and I saw the connection between computers and learning as an undergraduate, designed my own major in it, and it's been my passion in life ever since. So I went back to grad school and got a PhD in cognitive science to understand how do people really learn, and how do we apply that to apply technology to meet those needs. Varied background, but at the end of the day, I've been an academic, but have gone into the corporate sector, and I help companies meet their learning needs by helping them develop processes and architectures to do better, deeper learning experiences, going beyond content, going beyond...
Can you give me an example of that?
Sure.
One specific example.
For instance, for a major educational textbook publisher, I went in and helped them redesign how they develop their material so that not only would it populate textbooks, but it would create a flexible architecture so they could create different business models and repurpose that content to create learning experiences for different markets in different ways.
Okay.
To develop the experience required to make judgment calls in high-risk situations. When we have a growth requirement, that means we have less time than we used to. The question, therefore, is how much can you speed up the experience curve by supplementing with simulated experiences? And you can do a lot, but I think you need to do two things. I think you need to first focus on what are the transferable skills, and it's not rote knowledge, it's learning to learn, learning to adapt type of skills. And the second thing is you need to find meaningful ways to practice that. I wrote a book about how do you design engaging, meaningful learning experiences that are deeper, meaningful practice. And you take that, but then you start focusing. When you do that, you focus on a particular skill. The question is, what skills do you focus on? And the skills you focus on are ones that are understanding more deeply what the issue is, bringing in the appropriate knowledge and the appropriate skills, and that may be collaborative. Who do you bring in is maybe as important as what do you bring in. And then how do we work forward to decide what metrics we're going to measure, how do we are going to develop and design and prototype and assess what we're doing and move in meaningful circles. So it's increasingly about skills that are not domain specific, but are about new learning.
Okey-doke.
In a highly competitive market, which the energy sector is, how do we develop a compelling employee value proposition to prevent companies paying more to headhunt our staff? And it's about, you read Dan Pink's Drive, and it's about giving people a clear goal that they get, that they viscerally understand, empowering them to achieve it, and giving them the freedom to pursue it. So it's not about hierarchy where you manage from the top down and one person does the thinking for a bunch of people. It's about hierarchy where we've got a network and together we decide the goals and work together to move forward. And if you create a place where people have a very clear understanding of what we're trying to achieve and why that's important and we should care about it, and then you give them the tools to succeed and you give them the responsibility for making those happen, they feel empowered. That's where the power comes from, and it doesn't come from you will do this or arbitrary incentives. It comes from that deeply meaningful goals.
Where people are really truly engaged with the purpose of their work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People perform better when they really care about what they're doing. Duh.
Exactly. No.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. We've got one more question there.
Well, and I'm trying to get... Oh, there we go. I got it.
Yeah.
In a rapidly growing business where the knowledge resides in the heads of senior fee earners, how do we make the time to invest in knowledge transfer and succession planning? It's interesting. Many people talk about tapping into that tacit knowledge of the people leaving the workforce, and I absolutely believe in that. And finding ways for them to create that is meaningful. But a really interesting experience I had with a major aeronautical company, they didn't have the senior engineers create the knowledge. They had the junior engineers create the knowledge. And then they had the senior engineers go in and modify that. Because it made more sense it was important for the junior engineers to try and express their knowledge, and it was really valuable for them to get the feedback from the senior engineers to refine.
I think that's fantastic.
And it was also the right distribution of effort. You don't want to take your senior engineers out of task, But what you do want to do is have them contributing, so you find the right balance. And that was a great case study. And
what company was that? Did you say? Or
I
you
said it was a major aeronautical company.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. No, fair enough. No, fantastic.
They manufacture, most of the world's airlines, but I can't airplanes. But
Okay.
I can't mention who they are.
Okay. No, I think that's brilliant, because what you've just said, I mean, everything you've said is great, but I think that final thing is, for our company, something that we really could use. And I think we already do to a certain extent. We have our senior subject matter experts, but it is, you saw the question, and I know as a learning and development professional that the best way to learn is to share that knowledge, or to try and express it, or try to get it out there. So what better way than to get your junior people to create stuff, or to share this knowledge, and then get the senior people to verify it, double check it, so it's good for everybody. So I think that's something that we could really seize onto personally.
Well, I want to be very careful, because I argued strongly against best practices. Not because they're wrong, but because looking at what somebody else has done may not work in your organization.
Exactly.
In your context, it's not going to transfer. So I argue for what I call best principles. Abstract from those situations that other people learn. Figure out what that would mean in terms of your organization. And with the Internet Timelines, we talk about next practices. So best principles apply to your context, provide next practices. But it's about recontextualizing it. But you can't do that until you've abstracted why it worked.
Yes.
Not just how it worked or when it worked, but why it worked. And then you can figure out how will that work in our context. And that's, I think a really important thing of how you need to think about it, and of course what we do.
Okay, thank you very much. That's been most enlightening. Thank you.